Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Unicorns and Typewriters. My name is Skylar and I'm back today with a very exciting booktube video. So in today's video, I wanted to do sort of what I've been talking about doing for the last two videos, which is getting more books onto my bookshelves. So I actually brought over to my apartment an entire laundry basket full of books, and that's not even all of them, but I'll show you what I've got now. So I've got this huge laundry basket full of books right here, and this is not even close to being all of my books. So yeah, we're gonna just kind of do this in parts, I think. This is really heavy. I thought I'd start out by just going through the books that I brought over, talking a little bit about why I chose to bring these books over here, whether they're books that I've already read that mean a lot to me or books that I want to read. This is definitely going to be like part one of at least two videos, if not maybe a couple. It just takes a long time to bring over large amounts of books. Gotta carry them through a parking garage, down an elevator, then up an elevator. It's a whole ordeal. I was carrying them in the elevator on my way here yesterday, and I did have this sort of older man on the elevator with me, and I could tell he was super curious about why I was carrying a giant laundry basket full of books, and he didn't say anything until we got to like my floor and I was about to get off, and he was kind of like, "That's a lot of books." What are you doing with all those books? And I was like, well, I got a bookshelf and now I'm filling it and it's really exciting. And I could tell he was just like really excited about it too. I feel like it was one of those like moments of like an older person being like, oh, the youngins, they still read. And I thought it was really hilarious. But yeah, I look forward to now having that experience at least one more time because guys, I have a lot of books. I hope you enjoy watching. I'm very excited to do this. And yes, let's get started. So as you can see on my shelf already, I have all of my Rainbow Rowell books on this kind of lower shelf right here. I'm just gonna make this into my sort of contemporary shelf here. And so I thought about what books I'd want to add to my contemporary shelf. Of course, I could not have a contemporary shelf without my Becky Albertalli books. So I have Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda, which is such a good book, and movie. The movie is excellent. Leia on the Offbeat, which is of course kind of a companion book with Simon. So those two are really good to read together. And then The Upside of Unrequited, which is actually the first book of hers that I read, even though it came out after Simon. Because this book came in one of the first Owl Crate boxes that I got. And guys, I still love this book with a passion. This book means so much to me. I can't even tell you how much it means to me. I love this book so much. You should read it. It's about a girl who's had a lot of crushes and never really a real boyfriend. It's really cute. It goes a lot into sort of body positivity. She's very self-conscious of her own body. That's definitely something, you know, I could relate to when I was a teenager. This book just really spoke to my soul. And there's diverse characters. This book is about a girl who likes boys, but there are LGBTQ characters in the background, and kind of her friends and such. And then these two books are both about LGBTQ characters. So she just writes such amazing, diverse, realistic, and just lovable, like completely lovable characters. Every time I read books like this, I get warm and fuzzy feelings in my heart. And The Upside of Unrequited also features Jewish characters, which I think is really awesome, because I don't think there's like a ton of Jewish representation in YA either, especially written in a way that the Jewish character isn't just sort of like a token character or a side character. So the fact that the main characters are Jewish, I thought was really, really awesome, and that it's not really like, it's not made into a big deal. It's just like incorporated in their lives the same way as in these two books, being gay isn't made into a huge deal either. It's just like part of who they are. And I love that. I love that her books just feel so real and that they tackle issues and diversity in a way that just feels so natural. And I just absolutely love that about her writing. And I would highly, highly suggest checking it out. I also believe she's co-written a few books, but I have not read those yet. So I would really like to look into her other works. These books actually all take place in the same universe. So although these are kind of the same characters, this one of the characters is like cousins with one of the characters in these books. It's kind of crazy the way she does it. But it's really fun to kind of search for little references to the other books. So I think that's pretty darn adorable, and I would highly, highly suggest giving her books a read if you have not yet. So I think these to me really belong on the shelf with Rainbow Rowell books because it's that sense of contemporary and diversity and just like beautiful little love stories. And yeah, it just feels like these books belong on the same shelf. So I'm definitely going to be adding them right now. If you've been watching my channel, then you know for the last couple of videos, I have not been able to remember to bring over my slipcase for Rainbow Rowell's Carry On. I finally brought it. It does have two sort of faces on it, which I did not realize when I first bought it. I thought it was just like abstract art. I don't know what's wrong with me. But yeah, it's two faces and like kind of a city. And now I can kind of recognize that it's the faces of the main characters. So yeah, that's kind of exciting. So I'm gonna get this slipcase on and get these organized. I am kind of moving them to the other side of the shelf. I decided I'd like it better if they were like in a different order than I had them before. So let's see how that goes. All right, so as you can see, I've got them kind of in an order that I like now. And I also have red, white, and royal blue on this shelf because I do feel like it's going to be a cute contemporary love story as well, even though I have not read it yet. And it is also, is it considered young adult or is it an adult book? I'm not sure, so I don't know that that'll be staying there. I find it much easier to know where to put books after I've read them because then I actually like have a feeling toward them. That one I don't yet, but I feel like it fits in well with the sort of pastel colors and like I said, contemporary love story. So I'm gonna leave it there for now. But yeah, I think this looks really cute so far. I love how it is looking so far with the kind of brighter colors, and contemporary is just very, very cute. So yeah. Also, to add to my contemporary shelf, I have Every Day. So I have Every Day by David Levithan, which I did read and really enjoyed. And then I also have Another Day, which I actually have. I've had this for a really long time. It is an ARC copy, an advanced reader copy that I got when I was working at a bookstore, and I never read it, but it's the sequel and or companion. I don't really know, but I really want to read it because I really enjoyed the first one, but now it's been a couple of years since I read it, but I feel like I remember the concept enough that I can probably read it. So I know these have a little bit of a weird kind of sci-fi element to them. So I don't know now if I feel like I want to put them on the contemporary shelf, but I also might want to put them up with my sort of sci-fi books that I was starting to get organized. I don't believe you can see them really well from this angle, but I do have my sci-fi books up here on this shelf. So I'm thinking for a second, but I also have another contemporary, We Are Okay by Nina LaCour. I actually really want to bring over all my other Nina LaCour books, but I sort of forgot I meant to grab them too, and I forgot, and then my basket filled up with other books. So I'm gonna get this one put definitely in contemporary. That feels definitely right to me. But these two, now I'm going back and forth in my head a little bit. I think I'm gonna put them up with my sci-fi books because they do have a very sci-fi feel to them. All right, I'm feeling good with my life choices. I also finally brought over my slipcase for The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater, which I keep saying I've also forgotten to bring back. So I want to get that on here. And then I actually did bring over her other books. I have some accessories that I want to go with these books. but I don't have them with me, so I'm just doing the best I can. Please view this as just part one of this video. So I think I'm going to use this empty shelf here and put all of my Maggie Stiefvater books on here because I know I'm gonna need like almost an entire shelf for her books. So I think I'm just gonna get that started and then see what room I have left for other books that I might wanna put on that shelf. Until, of course, she comes out with more books, and then eventually I just fill the entire shelf with her books. Yes. So I just want to take a quick second to talk about the Shiver series. I have all the hardbacks because I read these as they were coming out. I absolutely love these editions. I think they're so beautiful. It's kind of hilarious. I was just realizing, it looks like I took it off the third book, but I was just realizing that the first two still have their original border stickers on them, which normally I would take off, but to be honest, I'm probably gonna leave them on because my Borders nostalgia is a real thing. But yeah, I absolutely love this series. I also have Sinner, which I have to say I didn't enjoy as much, the sort of companion novel, but these really inspired me, and I'd actually love to reread them at some point. They are a series that I think it would be really fun to reread, even though I don't reread very often. I definitely have a lot of love for this series, and I'm really glad to be able to finally see them because for a long time on my old bookshelf, they were just sort of like shoved to the back because I didn't really have room for all of her books to be on display, and I just had the Raven Boys out front because I've been reading that series, The Raven Cycle, and so I'm so glad to be able to kind of look at some of my favorite books again now that I have room to spread them out. All right, so here are all of my Maggie Stiefvater books. They look so nice. Oh man, it's so crazy to see them all on a shelf together. They're just so beautiful. I'm just so happy. But yeah, the only books I have not read of hers, I have not ever come back to read all of the Crooked Saints. And of course I need to read Call Down the Hawk, but all the others I have read. And I really love her Lament and Ballad series, the Fairy series, and I love Shiver series. The Scorpio Races was awesome, of course, and I have mixed feelings on the Raven Cycle, but I want to do a separate video to talk about that. I am still excited to read on to the next series. I have not ordered a copy of Mr. Impossible yet, but I probably will. Already, it just looks so much better. The more books, the better. But yeah, let me see what else I've got here. So I also brought over the Golden Compass series by Philip Pullman. I've got these really cute older paperback editions that I think are really nice. At the time there were like a million editions out, and these were the editions that I liked the most, so I went out of my way to purposely get these editions. When I was in England, I actually almost had an opportunity to meet Philip Pullman at an event, but then he pulled out of the event last minute, and I'm still a tiny bit heartbroken that I didn't get to meet Philip Pullman, because even though I've never finished this series, it looks like almost halfway into the second book when I got a little stuck and then kind of accidentally stopped reading them for a while and probably need to start the second book over. I can just tell I'm gonna love this series. I loved the first book. The second book is just so different because it starts going to a different world. You kind of get used to Lyra's world in the first book, and then suddenly you're thrown into a new world in the next book. And it is a world a lot more like our own, but it just wasn't what I was expecting. So although I feel like I should adjust faster to it because it is a world similar to our own, it's just difficult because I fell so in love with Lyra's Oxford and her world. But I think this series is really going to take on a whole new meaning to me because I did get to go to some of the colleges and areas in Oxford that inspired these books. So it was really cool to kind of see Lyra's world in person and just get that experience. I so wish I had met Philip Pullman and gotten a signed copy of one of his books. That would have been so cool, but can't have it all, right? So maybe another time. But yeah, so I definitely would like to finish reading the series. I did start watching the HBO TV show and thought it was really cool. I did watch the movie back when I was a kid, and that's what inspired me to want to read these books one day, because before that sort of very big Hollywood version of the movie came out, I didn't even know these book series exist, as I think is the case with many Americans. It's much bigger in England because Philip Pullman is a British author, and it didn't quite take off in the States the same way that Harry Potter did. It's much more well-known in England. But if you have not heard of this series yet, although at this point I feel like everyone has because of the HBO show, if you haven't, I really highly recommend them. Even though I personally got stuck, I plan on unsticking myself and reading this series very soon. I don't want to put it off much longer, so I'm kind of hoping to do it this year. For now, I think I'm also going to put these kind of in the sci-fi area on my shelf, but I'm going to think about that as well. Another book that feels kind of similar, so I believe I will put on the shelf with those, is Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. And this book I read a couple years ago, really enjoyed. I've always loved Howl's Moving Castle, the Studio Ghibli movie, so I wanted to read the book. And I remember feeling like I learned so much more from the book than I did from the movie, and unfortunately I feel like I've forgotten a lot of it, so I really want to reread it. And then I also know this is actually a series, so I'd like to reread this one and then actually read the entire Howl's Moving Castle series. So yeah. So another author that I deeply appreciate who got me into reading and writing is Laurie Halse Anderson. She is the writer of Speak. If you've heard of it, I read the book Speak when I was in high school, and it meant a whole lot to me. It really opened my eyes. It made me think about things in a whole different way, and I think it is such an important book. And it also opened up like an entire imprint of books that are, there used to be kind of a Speak imprint. I don't know if it really exists anymore, to be honest, but it used to be on books that dealt with mental health and really big important issues for teenagers. And I honestly still think that is such an important thing. If you've watched my videos in the past, you know that I'm a big advocate for mental health and that books about mental health are really important to me. I also really want to bring over her other books that I have, but I actually keep them on the shelf with my Nina LaCour books. I have like a floating bookshelf they're on, because I have books on there that have really inspired me, and books that I feel like have really changed my life. And so this is one of her books though that I never read. I got it also when I was working at a bookstore, which was quite a few years ago now at this point, a couple years ago. And I just never read it. I got it while I was there because I could get discounted books, and I got a lot of books while I was working at that bookstore. But I'm sorry I haven't read it already. It sounds really good. It sounds like it is about a girl who is struggling with a lot in her life. She has a father that has PTSD, and it sounds like through her own struggles, she's also trying to perhaps find a way to sort of find happiness in her own life. I think that this will be a really strong book, like all of her books are. So I would also really like to read this one this year. That would be great. So it will also be going on my contemporary shelf, and I am excited to add it and have it right in front of my face so I might actually remember to read it. Another book that I brought with me that I have already read is An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. I've been really wanting to get her other book. This book I remember really enjoying, and I've heard that her book that came out more recently, the name is escaping me, a lot of people have said is even better than this one. Her books do tend to have kind of magic mixed in with realism, and this one was about fairies, and I remember really enjoying it. I actually really want to reread this one, so I'm kind of thinking I might reread this one this year and then also pick up her other new book if I get a chance, but I also might just pick up her new book because, I don't know, I just have a really hard time spending time rereading stuff when I have so many things I want to read. But yeah, and then I also brought over The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender by Leslie Walton. I believe I actually have another book of hers now. I might at this point, but I can't remember. It's not with me today. But I started reading this a while back, got kind of off of it and decided I would need to start from the beginning anyway. But I would really like to read this at some point very soon. It sounds really great. It's supposed to be about a girl who's born with wings. And I don't know, it sounds like kind of very fantastical, but it's also supposed to be very poetic and deep, and I don't know. I'm just excited to give it a go. So yeah, I'm gonna get these on the shelf. This book I think I'm gonna put with my fairy books that are by Holly Black, and this one I think I will add to my sci-fi shelf for now because I feel like it's kind of a sci-fi-ish book because it still seems like it's based in reality even though there's a girl with wings. So I don't know, I might end up switching that once I read it and know for sure, but yeah. The last book that I managed to fit in my laundry basket was the short story collection Slasher Girls and Monster Boys, which were selected by April Genevieve Tucock and had stories from a lot of very famous authors. I read this last year around Halloween, really enjoyed it. If you've watched my channel in the past, you also know that I'm a really big fan of April Genevieve Tucock's other books that I do already have on my shelf because I couldn't resist bringing them over, which is The Devil in the Deep Blue Sea and Between the Spark and the Burn. It's just a 2-book series, but I absolutely love that series. They're the first sort of YA horror books that I read and just could not get enough of, which is why I really wanted to read this as well, and it did not disappoint at all. It was really cool, and so I think at some point I might dedicate like a whole space just to short stories, and then this might go with that section. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and put it with her other books. Right now, this shelf is a little disorganized. I'm not sure. I started sort of putting on like darker books, but I already feel like there's a couple books on there that I want to add to different sections. But for now, yeah, I think this is good for this video. I hope you all enjoyed watching. I hope you're enjoying watching my bookshelf fill up. I will probably do another video where I bring over at least a whole nother basket of books. If not, maybe I will do what I really want to do, which is try to get someone to help me and just bring over all of the books at once. But unfortunately, I just didn't have the help to do that yet. But I still wanted to do this video so badly. So I hope you enjoyed watching. I hope it was fun to see me filling up the shelf a little more. And I will definitely be back with another booktube video soon. Please like this video if you enjoyed watching. Comment and let me know what you think of the books that I put on my shelf so far. And if you're interested in reading any of them or if some of them are your favorites already. And subscribe to my channel down below if you want to see more content like this. Thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your week. Bye.